Welcome to the Chrisman Commentary Daily Mortgage News Podcast. I'm your host, Robbie Chrisman. Topics on today's episode include conference chatter, my interview with Call Equity's Mel Lund on how operations and sales can assist one another to drive origination volume, and why we're seeing Fannie net issuance continue lower. Thanks to today's podcast sponsor, Indicom. Indicom combines mortgage AI, intelligent automation, machine learning, and intelligent document processing with mortgage operational expertise to ensure that every solution is accurate, scalable, and impactful as it is innovative. Indicom's AI-powered tools, like Income Genius, Decision Genius, and IDX Genius AI, aren't off-the-shelf solutions. They're tailored and purpose-built for mortgage operations, trained on vast mortgage datasets, and refined by the feedback of operations teams, underwriters, and QC professionals. This practical focus means faster implementations, fewer errors, and a much shorter time to value. Here in Boise at the Pacific Northwest Mortgage Lenders Conference, there's a lot of chatter in the hallways and on Basque Street where we had dinner last night. Certainly a topic is how Fannie and Freddie's market share is ebbing. Yes, it seems like they're fading from prominence amid the rise of alternative products. Whether the market is getting ahead of itself and expecting mortgage rates to come down is also a topic, and what that means for lenders and investors is certainly on everyone's minds. Take a look at ARM demand and pricing. People are also discussing how hedging strategies shift during Fed easing cycles, and at the top of the funnel, all the news about occupancy fraud is also a topic du jour. According to Kiranos' new proprietary application index, refinances increased 47% in August, while the purchase index decreased 2% for August as a whole. August 2025 funded mortgage volume decreased 4% year over year and decreased 6% month over month. President Trump said that Christopher Waller, Kevin Hassett, and Kevin Warsh are the three finalists for the Fed chairman nomination. Maybe they can duke it out like Bill Pulte and Scott Bessent want to and determine a winner. We learned yesterday that consumer credit increased by $16 billion in July, well above expectations, following a downwardly revised $4.3 billion decline in June. And the New York Fed released its latest survey of consumer expectations, revealing a slight uptick in year-ahead inflation expectations to 3.2% from 3.1%, while 3-year and 5-year expectations remained at 3.0% and 2.9% respectively. In August, MBS prepayment speeds were generally in line with expectations, with Fannie 30s slowing slightly, Ginnie 2s performing better than forecasted, and Fannie 15s underperforming. The average CPRs reflected modest month-over-month changes, influenced by a mild drop in mortgage rates and a 7.5% rise in the MBA's refi index. Gross MBS issuance hit a year-to-date high of $108.6 billion, driven by gains across most segments, while Ginnie 2 issuance declined for a third straight month. Notably, Fannie Mae net issuance remained negative for the 7th consecutive month, and Fed MBS paydown stayed well below the taper cap. Looking ahead, speeds are expected to remain stable through September and October, with seasonal slowing countered by recent refinancing momentum due to falling mortgage rates. Should the Fed begin cutting rates, further drops in mortgage rates could trigger stronger refinance activity and increase prepayment speeds. Also, aggregate gross agency MBS issuance rose 7.7% on a month-over-month basis in July, and even managed a 0.7% increase from the same time in 2024. This was the strongest annualized increase for sector supply since May, and as was seen in July, the supply total came in very close to the average seen from 2000 to 2019, which is about $112 billion for August. While supply isn't budging too much, the world of agency MBS is slowly getting back to normal. In terms of the daily average supply, last month's $5.3 billion was a solid bump over July's $4.7 billion. The August through November periods tend to see the most issuance of any year, so despite being at only $768 billion as of the end of the month, gross forecasts for 2025 as a whole remain around $1.1 trillion, which wouldn't be much of a change compared to 2024's total. For today's interview, I wanted to welcome to the show Call Equity's Mel Lund to talk about how operations and sales can assist one another to drive origination volume. She started in operations in 1994 and has essentially been in every role possible in ops. Up until COVID, she was VP of Ops, but she moved to sales training new LOs for a few years, and her last 3 years have been as a sales manager for 13 LOs in Pennsylvania and Maryland, as well as director of recruiting So let's talk about all those subjects.
I want to start kind of talking about the hats that you've worn or the hats that you wear, and that's operations and sales. And people, uh, sometimes I don't know how elementary to go on this podcast. I would say people know what sales is and people know what operations are, but maybe kind of like how you view each of those, and then you can evolve them into like how they dovetail together.
So I always like to look at both roles. I'm a big person that looks like the end user. Like, how does that look like from a sales perspective and an ops perspective? Doesn't make sense. So most of my life I've been in ops. I've been in every role. So I think I have a unique ability to see like how it impacts, the closing department, how it impacts secondary, how it impacts post-closing processing, the CD department. So those kinds of things. So I love to see how and improve those processes where I can. And that's what I loved in operations, because I was actually in those roles. Those skill sets were really unique in my sales role because now I can kind of see, you know, how it impacts sales, what sales can do to impact operations as far as efficiencies, changes, and just like the thought process when it comes to changes in the company.
You mentioned the closing department or secondary. Talk about the interaction between operations and these departments and how they can kind of get to the best possible place.
I think open communication, I know that kind of sounds like vague, but having the ability to just know who your peers are and saying, like, we use IM now or like instant messages, text, all those kinds of things. And as long as we have that ability for our employees to not be afraid to contact the secondary or marketing department to say, hey, is this lock right? Or afraid to contact the manager or anybody in that department to say, hey, this fee's wrong. I had that happen on Friday night. Someone IM'd me that was like, hey, I think these fees are wrong on this loan. It's a wrong loan product. And it was someone that just IM'd me on my teams after hours. And I think just that ability for people not to be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, so I'll get into sales in a second, but when it comes to ops, what does a sleek, futuristic ops department look like right now in the mortgage industry? What are the best ones doing?
Being efficient, having good systems, having really tight time frames, and not even tight, but just consistent time frames. Queues. I mean, we use Encompass here at Equity Resources, so queues are being managed efficiently and looking for the ability to do things quicker and faster, while maintaining the efficiency and making things are right. So, for example, I'll go back to getting like an LE out or a CD out. If you can get it in as a loan officer, gets it in by 1, it goes out the same day, and making sure that happens every single time. Underwriting having turn times of 24-hour turn times so that the sales side can keep them honest and say, hey, customer, I'm going to have this. Or, having a pre-approvals in by 1 and out by 3. So making sure everyone's on the same page with their timeframes so that everyone knows when to expect things, for our clients.
We had a little prep call, and you mentioned supporting both sides. So it's not just ops supporting other things, but these other departments supporting ops. And now we can focus in on sales a little bit because that's where we are. How can a department like sales best support operations? Kind of flipping it.
We always say having the best loan story. So, loan officer, we kind of look at our loan officers as quarterbacks. I'm a big football fan. Quarterback, structure the loan, set up the play, set up the file, and then ops can take it from there to the goal line, to the closing table. So we have this fill out the loan story like it's a form, or you can just write it in Encompass, whatever. But it's detailed information, not like here's the program, that's all set up. But client works third shift. These are the time frames, or clients going through a tough time, or hey, funds are going to be last minute. Like just unique things that the loan officer already knows in their head, where they may not communicate that verbally to their support staff. So having all those things kind of in a loan story makes that best handoff transition and good customer experience so that we're kind of following the lead of the loan officer.
Well,
Very simple.
let's hand off transition to sales here, because now you work in sales. And I want to ask how sales departments can be at their best. And I want to go a little deeper, because we're past the point of, oh, well, I need a good tech stack. Or, oh, well, I need the certain product. Like we're past that. Like in modern.
Yeah, everybody should be on the same page with that for
So
sure.
like let's evolve this conversation a little bit. What it is the marker of a good sales staff these days? How are they best supported? How can executives empower their salespeople? Like what's kind of cutting edge of who's winning competition out there?
That's a great question. I run a team of loan officers, and I ask them that question all the time. Like, how can I be of value to you? What they say to me is support. And what that means is, when it's 24/7. So I manage a team of very seasoned loan officers that produce, pretty well. When they have an issue, it's a problem. I better be available to answer it and be able to, connect with my ops team to get a closing package out on a Saturday at, 7 p.m. or something like that. So it's really just the one-offs that mean a lot to our customer experience, or it could be, hey, I'm really having a tough time in this market. I need help. Or, what other things can we do for our referral base, for our realtors? Can we offer them, we offer them free videos and things like that. So just really, how can I have added a value to their product, to their brand, and really just being available to them.
Yeah, so you manage the sales team. You said they're selling pretty well. How could we get them to selling really well? How do we take that leap?
Making sure 100% that they are following up with their past clients. We are, 100% referrals. So using the technology or using me to say, hey, here's the last 4 years of your past clients. Have you connected with them? Now, we have the CRM system that, measures that and kind of, sends these automatic emails, but really just making sure I'm giving them the reporting outside of, these milestone markers that they typically get to say, like, are you following up with these? There's some, realtors, we've got all these great resources like Redart and MMI, what realtors are producing, are they in your area, and can you connect with them? Are they married to a loan officer? If not, maybe you can be their second go-to person. So I dive into a lot of the stuff for them and provide them some opportunities, and then hopefully they take it and run with it.
Yeah, so you've trained new LOs for or you train new LOs for several years. What's the difference between a new LO and a seasoned LO? Like what do you wish more new LOs understood quickly about the industry or the process or selling or whatever?
That it's hard. So what I love about new loan officers is their drive is like crazy. They want to like conquer the world. We have a program where we have like a base salary for the first couple years, and they want to get off and go full commission like right away, as soon as they have like 4 or 5 deals behind them. So, which is great. I love their energy. I think with the newer LOs, they just need to focus on learning the product, not just the agency products, but just the product, how to sell it, find their niche. So that's the difference between a new loan officer and an existing one is, they want to do everything, but just kind of fail to finding the details of a DSCR program or bank statement program or their current bond programs and the differences.
So you're also involved in recruiting even before you
Yes.
get. How do you choose people for the mortgage? Actually, I want to back up. How do people even hear that a career in the mortgage is viable? I hear these stories of like, oh, I bought a house and my LO was like, you'd be a good sale. Like, how are they learning about the industry these days?
That it's crazy because there's no degree that you get for, to be a loan officer. So I shout it from the rooftops. I think this is like the best industry in the world. Done it forever. And I think, I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn, but the audience just really has to be there. I do a lot of realtor events. So I talk to realtors about the opportunities of getting maybe their son, daughter into the industry. I've been successful with that. I just talk about it all the time. All my friends think that this is the best industry ever. So I've gotten a lot of people into realtors and that kind of stuff.
What do you look for when you're recruiting people, at least to be sales staff? What are the traits you think make a good salesperson in mortgage?
Drive. Anything that I can't teach someone, I can't teach someone's drive, ambition. I look at their, obviously we have core values that we follow. I think the athletes make great loan officers. They have the skill sets of competition and being, kind of an individual person. They have that, creative and those competitive natures. I think those are great skill sets for a loan officer and for a realtor.
You went from ops to sales, now you're recruiting. Is there going to be another evolution for you, or is this the end of the?
I don't know. And I love that you asked me that question because I'm constantly, going to my owner to say, am I doing the best for you, for our company? Because I'll do anything. Like I love every aspect of this company. Recruiting has been newer to me. It's one of the things I find the most challenging. But if there's something else in the company that he feels that I'm best suited for, I'm ready for it.
Nice. Well, you're a fan of some of the Chrisman content that we make.
I am, of all of it, pretty much.
I'm going to let you ask a question of me. Anything you would like to know, like anything. Favorite color, order I put my socks on, what I like about what I did. It could be professional. What do you want to ask?
What is your favorite color?
Gold.
Gold. Okay.
Although green is
that's kind of a boring question though.
Green is a good one too, but yeah.
Dog or cat?
Depends on the dog, depends on the cat, just like people. If it's a good dog or good cat or good person, I like it. If it's a bad dog or bad cat or bad person, I don't really like it.
Oh,
okay. Judge things on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I have two cats.
This is what you wanted to know about me?
I mean, I've just been put on this spot. So, the Chrisman material, how current is that? Like, I mean, I read it and I think it's current. But like, are you writing it like in 5 minutes, an hour? Like, are you thinking about content the day before?
That's a fair question. Some stuff comes out the day before. Say that the Fed decides to cut rates. Cool. We can write about, that afternoon, the Fed cuts rates. Maybe a lot of stuff's dictated by the amount of space we have. I have a piece written up right now on agency mortgage-backed security issuance. That's from, a week or so ago, but I haven't had space to put it in. It's less timely, or sorry, I should say it's a little more evergreen in terms of when you can publish it. And so I'll save certain things. Maybe they're 5 or 6 days old. There's news from the day before. And then most mornings I'm up at the crack of dawn looking at the economic calendar saying, new, initial jobless claims came in at this number. Today, here's the effect on treasury prices, mortgage-backed security prices. So that's morning of. So it varies. But we try not to let anything be older than a week. There's some stuff like, the Fannie Mae proposed new rulemaking guidelines on what it's like. It doesn't need to be the next day that you come out with it, or there's.
Well, it's one of my resources. I think main resources that I go to. I don't have a lot of time between all my recruiting and managing to do that research, so I appreciate that. I'm sure the audience does. And then I guess my other question would be, how much time a day are you doing podcasts and research? I feel like that's a lot.
Things have gotten a lot busier lately because in addition to the newsletter, which I write a chunk of, and that probably takes me an hour and a half a day. Podcast. between recording the interview, editing the interview, recording myself, editing myself, publishing it, that probably takes a couple hours a day. But then we also have webinars that we're doing every day. I need to coordinate thought leadership writing for our website. I'm working on selling certain sponsorship or advertising packages. We rolled out this marketplace that we're working on making better. We're rolling out a new website. We're rebranding. We're working on doing some more stuff with the job board and the industry events calendar. So I'm busy.
All right. Well, that's cool.
Okay, cool. I very much appreciate you making the time. It was nice talking
Thank
to you.
you.
As we've said a couple of times, hopefully I'll see you at a conference soon.
For sure.
Today's economic calendar got underway before the open with NFIB Small Business Optimism for August, which rose 0.5 points in August to 100.8, whatever that means, but it's nearly 3 points above the 52-year average. Later today brings Redbook same-store sales for the week ending September 6th, and Treasury activity that will be headlined by $58 billion of 3-year notes. We begin the day with agency MBS prices roughly unchanged from Monday's close, the 2-year yielding 3.52, and the 10-year yielding 4.06 after closing yesterday at 4.05%. Let's wrap up with a joke and some housekeeping. A 7-year-old boy was at the center of a custody courtroom drama last Friday in West Texas when he challenged a court ruling over who should have custody of him. The boy had a history of being beaten by his parents, and the judge initially awarded custody to his aunt in keeping with child custody law and regulation requiring that family unity be maintained to the highest degree possible. The boy surprised the court when he proclaimed that his aunt beat him more than his parents, and he adamantly refused to live with her. When the judge then suggested that he live with his grandparents, the boy cried and said that they also beat him. After considering the remainder of the immediate family and learning that domestic violence was apparently a way of life among them, the judge took the unprecedented step of allowing the boy to propose who should have custody of him. After 2 recesses, checking legal references and conferring with the child welfare officials, the judge granted temporary custody to the Dallas Cowboys, whom the boy firmly believes are not capable of beating anyone. Thanks again to this week's sponsor, Indicom. Streamlining operations with the genius blend of automation, AI, and services, Indicom helps you achieve practical digital transformation and real operational impact with purpose-built mortgage solutions. To learn more, visit Indicom, that's INDECOMM.com.